What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Combat Lounge. Today, we will be talking about UFC 289 and then some. Enjoy the show.
Wilder now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. Wilder's hurt. He wildly almost fell over into the ropes. He is close to going out.
What's going on, everybody? Today, I would like to announce the return of my mentor, my brother, Phil Robinson. Oh, shit! What's up, Phil?
He knocked him out. What's happening, Cade?
What's
Welcome
up, man? How's it going?
to the Combat Lounge.
Yeah, man.
Well, things are going well. We've been having great fights all the way around: boxing, MMA, and other sports related fights. It's a great time to be in the fight game.
Yeah, man. I think every year is a great year of fights in its own way. This year's no different. We got some exciting ones coming up, and this Saturday is no different. We got a good bunch of good undercard fights. The two main fights that are everyone's talking about. The one that everyone's talking about is Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush. What you think about that fight?
I've seen a couple of Dariush's fights, and I always wondered how good he is because when you fight undercard guys and you beat undercard guys, it's like, okay, you get your, what I'm saying, you get your recognition and your propers for beating these guys, but how good are you really if you never get the opportunity to fight one of the top guys? So now he's fighting basically the runner up to the first in line for a shot at the belt in Oliveira. Because you look back at Oliveira's run, and who hasn't he beat recently? He's beaten Gaethje, he's beaten Chandler, he's beaten Poirier. He beat everybody but Islam. Islam took his belt, and I'm actually watching a little bit of the press conference in which Dariush said, or something came up about how he said he didn't watch the tape because he said that wasn't him as a fighter. It's like, okay, I get it. You lost. You'd like to say that as losing is not you as a fighter, but at the same time, it's kind of important to see why it is that you lost, especially to the guy who's holding the championship.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into that thought process of Charles. I don't know. I mean, personally, I would have watched it to see what mistakes I made going into my next fight so that I can correct them. Maybe he felt that he's made those mistakes before in previous fights and he already knows what he did wrong. I don't know. But as for Beneil, I think he's on I don't want to spit the wrong facts, so I could go back and check, but I think today I heard he's on an 8-fight win streak is the exact number. He hasn't gotten a chance, man. It's like he's like the Bilal Muhammad of lightweight. Like they just don't put the respect on him, or they haven't put the respect on him. I think Saturday people are going to find out what Beneil is all about, and that's his chance to prove it. Because I think that if he wins this fight, there's no doubt anybody should get the title shot over him. If Charles wins, I think Charles should also get the title shot as well, man. It's an intriguing fight, man. 3 rounds. I think they're going to fight at a 3-round pace. I think it's going to be a war, man. I really do. But I also think it's going to be a chess match in its own right as well.
And I think that Dariush is equally equipped to win that every bit as much as Oliveira. I just got through watching the Gamrot fight, and the difference between round 1 to 2 was incredible. Like he had got his timing down, he had gauged his rhythm, he knew what he was going to throw, how he was going to attack him, and he proceeded to just surgically break him down, piece by piece, nullifying his attack, standing in the pocket, throwing, walking around, picking his shots, landing. He completely turned the fight around. Even the knees to the body on the shot attempts just completely took Gamrot out of his game. And then ultimately leading up to setting him up to just get dropped by that absolute straight left hand, excuse me.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right in this fight is like Dariush is so patient in there. He's very, very patient. He fights at his own pace. You know, he picks his shots smart. He's good on the ground. He's good everywhere. Very underrated. Charles is the type of fighter that I feel like I would say he's kind of I wouldn't say he's as patient as Dariush. He's going to come forward in that fight, and it's going to be up to Dariush to deal with the pressure. I think Charles is definitely going to be the one putting the pressure on him, but I think Dariush, the way he fights and how patient he is, it might go in his favor to fight that way against a guy like Charles. We'll see what happens. I think that Charles Oliveira struggles when people will follow him to the ground that are good. You notice when he fought Gaethje wanted no part of the ground with Charles Oliveira, rightfully so. But I think Beneil, that's different. If Beneil was to drop Charles in that fight, and he's jumping on Charles, he's not going to just stand there and let him get up. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a great fight. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
It's really I expect it to be a great fight too. Just like I said, I went back and I watched the Dariush Gamrot fight because I watched it live the first time, but I just wanted to get back and educate myself so that we could have this little powwow. And with how Oliveira fights, I there's an old cliche about styles making fights, and the patience of Dariush is going to be ultimately what I think may get him over the top, because the Brazilian tendency is to win with aggression, and Oliveira is going to run into a guy who's an open gi 3-degree Brazilian black belt. He's not gonna out muscle him. He's not gonna out wrestle him. He's not gonna. If he wins the chess match, it will be a legit chess match win. He's not just gonna come out and get an easy submission off a stupid technique, off of a mechanical failure.
Yeah, Dana said something today that was a little bit interesting, and he's the type of guy that doesn't really answer media questions when they ask him about what's next, because he's all about what's now. But he said, I don't know, we'll see how the fight goes on Saturday if the winner gets the title shot. Do you think that that's a fair assessment, or do you think like he should come out and say that one of those guys gets the title shot? Because I would have to think that one of those guys, the winner of that fight's probably next in line, and Islam wants to fight in October, so this kind of lines it up for October right now. You know, the winner of this fight should make it for October, I would assume. But Gaethje and Poirier are going to fight on the 29th, and people think that the winner of that fight's also getting a title shot. But at the end of July, going into August, they're not going to be ready for October. I don't think in that type of a fight anyway. So essentially, the winner of this fight should get Islam, and then the winner of the Gaethje and Poirier fight can get the winner of that fight.
That would be the smarter way to go about it. I would think that another way to look at it would be to have the winner, since they're fighting this weekend, and then you got the 20 on the 29th, have the winners of those two fights fight each other and then take on Islam. But Islam needs some work in between, so it would absolutely make sense that whoever wins this fight gets first crack at him, and then whoever wins the next fight, or the fight between Poirier and Gaethje, would get the winner of whoever wins this fight and Islam.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he wanted to watch the fight back because it wasn't really going to do him good mentally, to be honest. There are takeaways from the fight, yes, but it was so quick it would be demoralizing. Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree because I felt like Charles in that short period of time made tons of mistakes. I mean, he got outstruck by Islam. Islam striking's good. I'm not doubting him, but if there was anywhere that people probably figured that he was gonna win that fight, it'd probably be striking. I know that sounds crazy, but I think there was a lot of mistakes that he made that he could have probably learned from watching that fight. Just my opinion. It's a big fight. And like I said, you can always learn from watching yourself. I feel like the thing with losing is not about losing. It's about how you come back from it. And, I think that's just part of the process.
That could definitely be the case, but at the same time, that's not the only loss on his record. I mean, he's lost before and come back and been greater because of it. So, but hey, to each their own. Said he's been a former world champion and I haven't. So if that's what he needs to do to get himself to be where he needs to be, then
yeah, we'll go on. Anything else you want to say about that fight, Phil?
No, I'm good. We pretty much this is going to be an action fight for all the technical striking. You'll see all the grappling, all the transitions, all of the submission attempts, all of the feints, all of the counters. This is going to be a very active technical fight.
Yeah, I agree. No, I was just going to say I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying.
One mistake or a combination of maybe 3 mistakes in a row, and this fight will be over.
Yeah, I can't disagree. It makes me wonder what's going to happen in this fight. Like, are we going to get a finish, or are we just going to get a chess match for 3 rounds and go to the scorecards? Like, it's just one of those fights that I'm not completely sure. I think Charles has been in a lot of fights that have been finished, whether he gets finished or he finishes someone else. Dariush, pretty much, I know he's had some decisions, but pretty much around the same thing. But yeah, going to be a great fight. But moving on to the main event, we got the return of the GOAT, women's GOAT, Amanda Nunes versus rising star Irene Aldana. We've had a history of some Mexican champions as of late. Grasso beat Val. Brandon Moreno's a champ. We have who else is a champion that's a Mexican that just I'm pretty sure just won a belt.
Namajunas?
No. Well, I know we got Grasso and Moreno, and now Irene's coming up, and she trains with Grasso in that camp. A lot of people think that Irene has a shot here. What do you think about this fight? I mean, this is it's hard to bet against Nunes, but Juliana proved that she can be beat. She came back and handled Juliana, and learned from the mistake of the first fight.
She did.
This was supposed to be Juliana Pena for the trilogy, but she's out due to some broken ribs, and now Irene Aldana steps in, and she seems hungry. What can you say about this fight, Phil?
She may be hungry, and the fact that she trains with Grasso is I'll say that does definitely give her more than a snowball's chance in hell, and that she actually may very well have the ability to pull something off. With that being said, I just think that coming off the loss to Pena awoken that fire in Nunes again. It's one thing to hunt, and champions get to be champions by hunting, but once you get to the top, you become the hunted. And getting knocked down does wonders for waking up that fire to go out and hunt again. And Nunes came out and hunted down Pena and beat the shit out of her. I wish there was another way to say it, because I know we're buttoned up now and doing the professional thing, but man, she put the paws all over her.
Dude, say it again. She beat the shit out of her. There's no other professional way to put it. I mean, it was an ass woman. A few submission attempts and heart and all that stuff from Juliana, that's great.
Yeah,
she still got beat up.
But she fought hard. I will give it to her that she fought hard. And she was never completely out of it until it was over. But man, that was a beating.
Yeah, I think the way that I break down this fight is I'm not taking away from the underdog story on Aldana. I'm not taking away any of that stuff. And, that's all great and all. And I know a lot of fans are rooting for her and all that great stuff. But I think just from watching her past fights, she's a good fighter, but I think her striking defense lacks sometimes. And I think that I think Amanda Nunes is going to take advantage of that. And I think people are really putting their money on Aldana just because Pena was able to dethrone Nunes. But I think that lit, like you were saying, I think that lit a fire under Nunes, and she came back and whooped Juliana. And now she's looking to come and beat this girl, man. And that there's nothing else that I can really say. I think Nunes is just a much better fighter. I mean, I don't see any female fighters that are even remotely close to her in this day and age. And still, she's been the best for a long time, and I think she's still the best. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
I would say that Pena, they got until we got to hold off on that statement until they finish the trilogy. Said Pena got it done, and even in taking a beating, she was still right there in that fight, making attempts to win the fight. It wasn't like she was just on the ground getting pummeled until the ref stopped it. She got caught, and there were she made a fair amount of mistakes herself, but she remained in the fight despite the storm. Now, in this particular one, I'll say this, and I know, and sometimes watching the press conferences and the stare down, pre-fight stare downs can tell you a lot. And when fighters get in each other's faces, you need to really pay attention, because if you watch one of them, they'll do something to test the other one to see what their natural reflex is in this particular situation. Amanda Nunes got all in Aldana's face without her flinching. And when I mean in her face. And if you said, like you said, she has a problem with striking defense, and Amanda Nunes is able to get inside of her defense that quickly, it's going to be a short night for her.
Yeah. That's my pick on the fight. I mean, I think Nunes gets it done. I think honestly she gets it done inside 3 rounds. That's just me.
I'd say
the underdog story is great, but
yeah, I don't see it lasting longer than 2.
2, no matter who wins, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I don't think I have any more on that fight, man. I think that fight's really straightforward. I think that Nunes wins that fight, and I don't think it's close. I think competitive, not close. That's what I think.
I think that the only shot that Aldana really has is the fight at length. She's gonna have to keep Nunes off of her and continue to pelt her with shots and keep her off of her. If she lets her get inside her defense, it's not gonna work.
That's who I was missing, Noah. Yair. He's the interim champ, but still a champion. He's going to fight Volkanovski in July, July 8th, the International Fight Week. That's the main event. It's a tough fight.
He gets Volk, huh?
He gets Volk. Irene is number 4. Noah, you really think that, man?
You'd be go put $100 on it, and if that really happens, your day will take a turn for the better.
You'll win $250, I believe. I think it's she's at plus 250, I want to say. Plus 225 or plus 250. Either way, you'll net about 225 to 250. So, but anyways, I kind of wanted to touch on not so much UFC 290, but 291. Alex Pereira's moving up to light heavyweight after his defeat to Izzy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's kind of like a inevitable move. Like, I felt like he was really big for middleweight.
Huge.
What do you think about him moving up to 205? And do you think that's a smart move for his career?
Yeah. No, actually, I don't. The smartest move for his career would have been for him to stay at that weight, dominate that division if he could physically do it. What I think was that the strain to get down that far became more than what he wanted to do. And you've already won the belt at that division, so you've accomplished being the champion there. So why not move up to something that's a division that's seemingly wide? Well, no, it's not really wide open, but that would be where that John Jones needs some new competition. And that's
not John. John's at heavyweight. The champ over there is Hill.
That's right. He stepped up. I forgot. My bad.
No, you're all good. But Hill needs somebody to fight.
Yeah,
but I think he's gonna fight Yuri. But I think if AP was to beat Jan at 291, that I think Dana said he's next in line, so he'll fight the winner of that fight. But he's got to beat the Polish guy, Jan Blachowicz, and that's not an easy task, man. Do you think moving up to light heavyweight is going to be a lot on him? Like, these fighters are more, their size. They're going to be more physical. It's going to be hard for him to deal with that because, like when Izzy moved up and fought Jan dominated. But Alex is bigger than Izzy, but at the same time, Izzy just beat him. So it's like, is it going to be you think it's going to be tougher than people think for him?
No, I actually think it will be easier. So you could talk about Izzy just beat him, but how many guys at light heavyweight are Izzy? How many guys can fight like Izzy? The light heavyweight fighters that currently in the division favor the style that the lumbering style that he likes to fight at, the pace he fights at. So you let him not have to cut weight and get closer to what he walks around naturally at, and he's the quote unquote faster guy with the sharper movements because he's used to fighting at a lighter weight. Now now he also has the opportunity. Well, he's not, at his age, he's not really going to bulk up, but it's more suited to his natural body size to fight at that weight. And when it's more natural, you'll typically fight better. And when guys aren't as fast and as sharp with their striking as Izzy, once again, that only makes it easier for him.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking that question specifically, just to let you know, is because Jan fought Izzy and he dominated Izzy, but he incorporated a lot of the wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He wrestled Izzy and used his size to his advantage. That's why I was wondering if this matchup is going to be a tough one for AP in your opinion, but AP is a bigger guy, so is Jan going to be able to incorporate the wrestling like he did on Izzy?
He's going to try, and he absolutely should try, but I just think that AP is more suited to the wrestling than Izzy was. So whereas Izzy has good grappling and submissions in the scheme of just when you're not trying to advance the position, just trying to lean on a guy and wear him out, he was always going to lose that. It's kind of like when John Ruiz fought, when Roy Jones moved up to fight John Ruiz, and the ref didn't let Ruiz, he didn't let him lay on him. He kept breaking him up so that Roy could use the boxing to win the title, and not have to, and wouldn't let Ruiz fight his fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm actually kind of excited to see him move up and see what he can do in that division, because that's a division that's, in my opinion, is kind of thin now. I mean, a lot of the guys at the top are getting older. A lot of the guys that have been at the top are been there for a while. I mean, Anthony Smith was still the number 5 ranked guy until his last fight, and he got completely dominated. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I truly believe Nunes wanted to retire after the Pena fight, but she lost and had to come back and get the belt. This is the WWE pass the torch spot, putting someone over. This isn't the WWE, though, bro.
That's not how it works here. You're not knocking me out for the good of the company, motherfucker. How much you pay me?
We won't necessarily go back on that fight, but you know what? That actually brings up a good question I wanted to ask you, Phil, and I'll give you my take on it too. Do you think if Amanda wins this fight, there's anything left for her? And if so, what is it? I guess you could say the Pena fight, but does she retire after this fight with a win, or do you think she fights Pena one more time and then hangs it up? Because I think Amanda, she has her second kid on the way. She's dominated for a long time. I believe she's 35 years old. I got to imagine that it's coming up on that time for her to, go out on top, so to say.
Champions have a hard time going out on top because the champion is always number one, and going out on top means that I still got it, and I need to come back and prove that I still got it. And when it's time to go out, very rarely do you ever go out on top. Look at Brady, look at Jordan, look at Kobe.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think personally, if she beats Aldana, she gives Pena that trilogy match, and if she beats, win or lose that fight to Pena, Amanda Nunes is done.
That would be the one to retire on. That'll make sure that she gets a nice little check on the way out. That's just good business, good financial planning, and really, it's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah,
it's like you said, it's tied. You can't. The champion can't leave on a tie. She beat me. I beat her. She wants her rematch. I got mine.
Wouldn't surprise me if she did it, just because. That's how I feel. I really feel like it wouldn't surprise me if she did that, just because Amanda really doesn't like Juliana. And she even said it in today's press conference. I couldn't retire after Pena beat me because I couldn't let her have the belt.
Well, and if she's and Pena could feel the same way. And if they got that type of animosity, then, whether you want to do this in the UFC or when I show up at your house, we're going to have to do this. We're not finished.
What's up, Blake? Nice to see you, bro. Haven't seen you in here in a while, but haven't been as active as I'd like on here, bro. But I'm trying to change that. The last topic I want to get to, and I'm sure we'll talk about this many of times before it happens, and probably talk about it after it happens. Justin the Highlight Gaethje will fight Dustin the Diamond Poirier for the Bad Motherfucker Championship. If there is two guys that deserve to fight for the Bad Motherfucker Championship, it is definitely these two. This is going to be a banger. The winner of this fight will get a championship, a real championship. shot against the winner of Islam and whoever he fights next between Charles and Beneil. That's the way I see it. How do you see this fight going down? They fought once. They had fight of the year. Poirier was able to finish Gaethje by standing TKO. Standing. You don't see that very often. So these two wanted to literally die in there. But it was fight of the year. Poirier won the first time. Now we're coming back around to this time. Poirier is coming off a win against Michael Chandler. Justin Gaethje is coming off an impressive victory himself against Rafael Fiziev. This is a great fight, man. How do you see this fight?
Well, I think the BMF title is dumb. I think it was done when Masvidal had it, and when but the good thing about it is that it gets the fighters more time, more pay-per-view time, and it's better for them. So when the UFC throws them a bone, it's always better for the fighters to take it. That's how I feel about that fight.
That quote came from a famous interview. I think I know of that interview, by the way, but I like it because they get paid like a champion. If you're going to go in there and fight 5 rounds, and these two, out of all people, are going to go in there and as hard as they hit, as much dog as they have in them, and beat the shit out of each other, why not give them an opportunity to make all the money in the world?
So, with that being said, I cannot wait for this fight. Cannot wait. And to watch these two dudes go in there and just go ham on each other. Gaethje's definitely got something to prove. He's got to avenge his loss. Poirier's going to come out there ready to just continue to build his legacy and get himself back on track for his title shot. You got a belt. You get a belt. Is it an officially sanctioned belt? Who the hell cares? I want a belt. You want a belt. If we're gonna fight, and somebody gets a belt at the end of the fight, that makes it all the more worth it. Yeah, the paycheck is nice, but I want the belt. And if they're gonna, now what you said that I hadn't considered is interesting, is because it is technically a title fight. They go 5 rounds instead of 3, and one of my big peeves is when you have these pound for pound and these tough guy fights going to the judges. But like they need those extra 2 rounds to either settle it or squash it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean 5 rounds, man. I don't think, I might be wrong, man, but I just don't see in 5 rounds how these guys even make it to the judges, man.
And that's the beauty of it. If they do, it'll be one of those fights where it's just like, wow, like we have just sat back and been treated to UFC history, another UFC classic. Like, we'll be telling the grandkids about this one. We're like, oh my God, way back in 2023, Gaethje versus Poirier for number 2. Oh my God. 25 minutes of just knockdown, drag
fucking man, bro.
Knocker, mayhem, mollywop, all of that shit.
The way I see this fight, so when I break this fight down, man, Poirier's boxing and stand-up game and the dog in him is just insane. I'm just starting with Poirier right now. We'll get to the other side of things. Mm-hmm. Poirier has beat the shit out of almost everybody that's not doesn't hold the title.
Right.
He's an elite fighter, but when he just hasn't been able to get over the hump for that championship. Gaethje and Poirier both openly said, the loser of this fight, this is the last run for each of them at a title shot. Not their career, but maybe just a title shot. Where after this, the loser will probably have to go towards the money fights.
Right.
In a sense. Gaethje, on the other hand, he's a dog himself. The keys to victory, I think, for Poirier is getting inside on Gaethje, kind of putting the pressure on him, keeping him inside his boxing range. Poirier does so well when he has you hemmed up against the fence and he's able to get in on close range, use his boxing. and he lands some clean shots. And I don't think anybody hits as hard as Poirier in close range or lands as clean of shots as he does. As for Justin Gaethje, I think Justin Gaethje's key to victory is fighting smart, like he did against Fiziev. Control the pace of the fight. Control where this fight is and where it goes. Control the chaos. Use his jab, his leg kicks. Leg kicks are going to be a big one in this fight because he's going to have to slow Poirier down. If he can slow Poirier down early and then the rest of the fight, pick him apart with his jab and set up his overhands and his hooks and stuff like that from the outside and just control the pace of this fight, I think he wins this fight. If he lets Poirier fight his fight, put the pressure on him, get inside with the boxing, I think that's where Poirier is going to win this fight. With that being said, I don't see it going 5 rounds. I see this being another fight of the year candidate. These two guys are going to slug it out. I think it's going to be a war/chess match where I think it's just going to be this fight ultimately, in my opinion, to sum it up, is who makes the most mistakes loses the fight. Whoever makes less mistakes wins the fight. Now, everyone might say, well, that's the case with every fight, but this fight specifically with how these guys are going to fight each other, guaranteed.
It is going to come down to the test of the chin and whose chin, when they get chin checked, who responds and who doesn't, or how many times they respond to getting chin checked. I don't see this fight going the full distance. And are they two guys who are capable of it because of their toughness? Absolutely. But I just think that this is going to be far too explosive, and it may not necessarily be bad blood between the two of them, but Gaethje is definitely going to want to get his loss back, and he'll be extra motivated to go out there and not try and to finish this fight.
Yeah, this is a very important fight for both of them, despite all the chaos. Like both of them had said, they believe that this is their last run at a title shot, and that goes with their legacy. And both of them have great resumes. It's an important fight for both of their careers. So, it makes me wonder if they're going to fight this fight a little bit smarter, or if they're, or how this is going to go down, because I know it's got to be in the back of both of their minds. What lies ahead after this. If they lose. So it's an interesting fight. It's way more interesting than last fight they had, because last fight they were a little bit earlier in their careers. They were still in their 20s. Now they're in their 30s, and this fight has a lot of meaning to it. But do you have any more?
No.
Well, guys, we're coming up on about 40 minutes. We don't want to keep you guys too long. Phil, it's always great to have you on. We miss you over here, bro. Phil's busy.
Phil has many hats to wear, many things to do. I love the fight games, but football is always where my heart is.
Cade Morehouse.
Phil Robinson III.
Oh, shit. Phil Robinson.
That's right.
We out.
Every time you say my name.
Now fires back. Oh, there's Fury